Are you curious about mastering a framework implementation in TestNG? So do you want to learn how to build an automation framework from scratch using page object model and page factory pattern? So in this video, you will learn how to build automation framework from scratch using Selenium Java with TestNG. Okay, and implementing page object model with page factory pattern. So we'll cover everything from scratch. So setting up the project structure to writing a reusable utilities, managing test data, handling a reports, and capturing the failed screenshot. So by end of this video, I'll also share how to explain this framework in interview. Okay, so stay tuned. Let's dive in. So we'll be automating a MakeMyTrip website, right? And MakeMyTrip having a multiple functionalities to validate, like such as searching for a flight and counting the total number of available options, searching for a hotels and cabs, right, and buses, validating the respective result. So now we'll focus on automating a flight search. Okay, flight search functionality and selecting that round trip from here, and we need to pass the select the departure and destination location. Okay, and select the departure and the return date and validate the flight search result. So we'll guide you step by step from scratch, ensuring you understand the framework setup. So the test structure and the best practice. So let us move on. We are going to use the page object model. Okay. So what is page object model? Page object model is a design pattern that enhances the test maintenance and reduces the code duplication by creating separate Java class for each pages. Okay. If you're coming here in that make my trip, right? Here we have a flight is a separate page and hotel is a separate page. Homestay is a separate page. Holiday package is a separate page. These are different pages. Okay. So each we are going to create a each class for each pages we are going to create a each class. Okay. Each class contain locator using find by annotation in a page factory. Then we have a method that interact with the web element. So this approach ensures that if there are any UI changes in future, right? So we only need to update the corresponding page class, okay, rather than modifying a multiple test cases. So the next is what is page factory. So the page factory is a class. It's provided by the Selenium that helps initialize web element in a more efficient way using a find by annotation. Okay, it provides the initialization of element, code readability, faster execution. So why we are using a page object model with TestNG? Because it's a better readability and maintainability. Okay, it reduces the code duplication. So separation of the test logic and UI element, it is easy debugging and scalability. Fine. So now we are going to understand, steps to implement Selenium TestNG framework using a page object model and page factory. So first step, what we are going to do, we are going to create a Maven project. Okay. We'll create a Maven project in Eclipse to manage the dependencies efficiently. Then step 2, add required dependencies. Okay. So we'll add the necessary dependencies in our form.xml. Okay, including Selenium WebDriver, TestNG, or WebDriver Manager, and extend report. So these are the things we are going to add the dependencies. These are required dependencies. Okay. Step 3, what we are going to do, we are going to create a package structure. Okay, we'll organize the framework by creating a package such as base package, pages package, and test class base package, right? Then report. So then step 4, we are going to implement the base class. Okay, we'll create a base test class to initialize the WebDriver and handle the setup and teardown method. Then we have a step 5, we are going to create a page object model using a page package. So we'll create a page classes, okay, where we define web element and a method for interaction. Okay, different pages or we are going to create a different classes. Now step 6, what we are going to do, we are going to write a test cases for using a TestNG. Okay, we'll create a test cases where we write our test cases using a TestNG annotation, like before method, at test and at after method we are going to use. Then step 7, we are going to configure TestNG XML for test execution. We'll create a testng.xml file to run our test cases. Okay. Then step 8, we are going to implement extend reports. Okay, for test reporting. We will integrate extend report to generate the test reports. So the step 9, we are going to run the test. Okay, we'll execute our test cases. Okay, now step 10, we are going to generate and analyze the report. Okay, after execution, we'll check the extend report to analyze the test results. Okay, these are the things we are going to do them. Now, let us begin step-by-step implementation. You can also start building your framework in parallel. Okay, if you get stuck or have any questions, feel free to drop them in a comment section. So I'll happy to help you. Okay. Also, don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more updates and automation and coding tips and tutorials. Okay. Now let's get started. Thank you for subscription. So now first step, we are going to create a Maven project. Let me go to Eclipse. Here we are going to create a Maven project first. So let's go over here. See here we have a option for creating a Java project and create a project. So now you can go and see here in even file also, you will be getting a new Java project and project is there. Just click on a project. Okay. Here if you come down here, you have a Maven is there. Okay? You can expand that Maven. Here we have to select the Maven project. Then click on next. So now next click on select the create a simple project. Click on next. So here we need to pass the group ID and artifact ID. Okay. So now for a group ID, you can say dot or you can say org dot framework. Here you can say com dot. We are using a MakeMyTrip, right? So you can say MakeMyTrip dot TestNG. TestNG framework. Okay. Otherwise you can do page object model and page factory. And page factory. Okay. So other things we are not going to touch anything. Just click on finish. So wait for a few seconds. You will be getting, the project is getting ready. So down it is getting, creating a page object model and page factory packages. So now the project is ready. If you expand that, you could able to see different folder structure over here. Okay. So what is the use of Maven project? So we can create a Java project and Maven project. Now we are creating a Maven project, right? So what is the use of Maven project? First thing is this is the dependency management. So if you go to pom.xml, right, in the root of your project, you will be having a pom.xml file. Here, Maven automatically download and manage all the required libraries like Selenium, TestNG or WebDriver, Apache POI, right? So all the dependencies we are going to manage over here. So no need to manually download the jar file. Dependencies are defined in the pom.xml file. Okay, this is the first advantages. Second thing is project standardization. Okay, so maintain the structured project with predefined folder like SRC main Java, SRC test Java, resources. This keeps the code, test script and configuration organized way. So the next thing in Maven project is the integration with the CI/CD. So easily integrate with the Jenkins, GitHub or Azure DevOps for continuous testing. If you are using a Maven, test cases can be triggered automatically after your code commit. Okay. So the next thing is, reporting support. So Maven supports extend report, allure report, and a report and the report as well. Okay. The next is a scalability and the maintainability. Adding a new test cases or feature, right, is easier with the modular approach. Then we have a version control of dependencies to avoid the compatibility issues. Okay. Using a Maven in Selenium automation, save the time, improve the maintainability, and simplify the test execution. Okay. These are the advantages of having a Maven project. Okay. Now we are going to set up the dependency. To start our automation framework, right, we need to add a required dependencies to our form.xml file in Eclipse. So now you go over here, just click on this, below the version, you can add a dependencies. So now here you have to add the dependency. So what are the dependencies you want? You just go to Maven repository. That is the mvnrepository.com. Here, this is what you could able to get all the required libraries. Okay. So now here you can search Selenium. Just click on the Selenium Java from here. See here, you could able to see, you see list of different versions available. Okay. Select the stable version from here. Okay, any of the versions you can select. I'll just go with the latest one, 4. So now here you can copy this snippet. Okay. Go to your Eclipse. and just paste it over here. Okay. So the next thing is, if I want the TestNG, right? The same way you can go here in ambient repository. You can select TestNG. You can search the TestNG. Select this. So now you will be getting a different version. See here also list of version is there. You can select any of the stable version. So you can select this version. Maybe I'll copy this. Go to your Eclipse and you can paste it over here. Okay. Now for that extend report. So next if you want to search extend report, right? Extend reports. Okay, now this is the extend report. You can select the extend reports from here. So you can copy any of the versions. See now I'll go with the stable version. Copy this. Go to Eclipse. You can paste it over here. Okay, now you just click on a save. It is going to building. It's downloading all the jar files. Once this is ready, then we are good to go. See, sometimes, if you want to, if you are using a test data, right, from Excel, if you are reading the data from Excel sheet, then we need to add another dependencies like, Apache POI as well. Okay. So now, as of now, we have added, 3 dependencies from here. Okay, always choose the compatible version to avoid the conflicts and ensure smooth execution of your test cases. So I have all the dependencies ready. Now we have to, create a proper package structure. That is the next step. We need to create a proper package structure to maintain a well-organized framework. So what are the packages we are going to add? We need a base packages and, pages for the pages packages. Then util packages we are going to create and we are going to create a test case packages as well. Okay, let us start. First thing is usually in organization follow the naming convention for packaging, and classes will follow the same. Let us follow the same thing. Okay. Now I'll go over here into SRC main Java. Just right click from here. You just create a packages. So now I'm using a make my trip, right? So I can say make my trip dot. We can say base. So this is a base packages. Okay, I can create a base class from here. Just go and create a base test. So this is for, it's a common one. Set up the T-down method. Like, in setup method usually comes like as initialization of WebDriver, loading the property file, all those will come over here in the setup method. Okay. So the next packages we are going to create for a packages. So I'll go and create another packages for pages. So we can say com dot. Here, I'm giving a make my trip. So your project name you can add. So now make my trip dot pages. Okay, here we can create any pages from here. Class. So we can create a class like, page class. For example, it is a home page. Okay. Home page class. And we have a search flight is there, right? We have a login is there. So login page. Okay. And we have the next package class will be flight page. Okay. And the next thing is we are going to create another class for maybe hotels page. Okay. So now these are the classes. So we are going to add some more classes as well if needed. Each page classes represent the specific page of MakeMyTrip. So this class contains web element locators using a @find by annotation. So methods to perform the action as well. I'm going to show you one by one. Okay. Now we are going to create another packages for util. So I'll create another packages. Util package is something like a helper class. Okay. So I'll say com dot make my trip dot util package. So from here I'll create a class for test util. So test util class. So here I'm going to use the common reusable method we are going to keep over here. Okay. Then if you come to that src test Java, here I'll create a new packages for test cases. From dot make my trip dot we can say test cases. So test cases means whatever the page we have created, right? For that page class, we are going to create a test cases here. For example, home page, we have created a home page, right? Home page test. The next one is the login page, class, login page test. Then we'll go and create another class that is a flight page test. So what is the next one? Next one is the hotels. Okay, I'll create another one, class hotels page test. So the test case package contain all the test classes. Okay, that call the method from the page object classes. Okay, that's what we have created. Now in that resources, you can create a folder for configuration. Like, if you are going to keep all the property file, right? Here we are going to create, here we are going to manage the property file. So property file means whatever the, we are going to store the browser or URL, all the things we are going to store it in our property file. So I can say config or we can say properties. Click on finish. So this is simple folder I am creating. The next folder will be, see under the resources we are creating. Suppose if you are storing a data, then you can go and add a Excel data. Test data, if you want to store, you can store it over here. Okay. So now if you want to store the, if you want to keep all the TestNG XML file, then you can keep it over here, the runner file. So that's all the TestNG XML file will keep over here. Okay. This is the way we can store all the data. Okay. In the property file, you can create a file. So this is normal text file we are going to create. This is a something like, we are going to keep all the URL or browser type or, all some other data. If you want to store, you can store it in this property file. Now here we can say config dot properties. Okay, dot properties. So just click on finish. This is a normal, something like a text file. So you can store over here URL equal to the URL you can copy from that MakeMyTrip. I'll copy the URL and paste it over here. Okay. So now next thing is suppose usually when validating a flight search, right? With the multiple set of data, we store all the details in a Excel file for better data management. However, since I'm using only one set of data right now for this scenario, so I'll store the data in the property file. Okay, instead of going with the Excel file. Okay, for that, what are the test data we need? We need to pass the from and to, and what is the departure date and the return date we need to pass. Okay, so what we can do here, I'll go with that from equal to, we are going to pass any data. So if you select this drop down, here it is saying, Chennai, India, New Delhi, India, Bank of India, Mumbai, India, right? So if you are going with some other country also, it is going to say Dubai, United Arab. So this is comma and this is the way the values are stored. So I am giving a value like, for example, Delhi, comma, India. Okay. This is the from and to, you want to store the to, I can say Chennai, India. Then we have so we need to select the trip. So one-way trip is there and round trip is there. I'm going to select the round trip. So I can say trip equal to round trip. Okay. Now departure date will be current date or, you can go with the next date. So we'll define in the method. Okay. The return date from that, return date will be from the departure date. It may be, 3 days or 4 days we can calculate. Okay, so that we are going to create a separate method for calculating the departure date and the return date. So now, then return date we can add maybe number of days. So after the departure date, right, the return date will be maybe you can add a 3 days or 2 days or 5 days. You can add any date. Now we're going to create a method for calculate the return date. So then we can say page load time equal to, so you can add a 30 seconds. Even you can add an implicit wait as well. Okay. So now this is the way you have to store the configuration property file. I'll just save this, close this file right now, and close all the things. And now let's go and add one by one. So first thing is what we are going to do. We're going to create a test, initialize the property file and WebDriver, all those things in the base test only. So in the base test, we need to initialize the property file and the WebDriver. So for that, what we can do, first we'll go and globally we have to declare public static properties equal properties, and we can say config. So just I'm giving a variable, okay? Static variable I'm declaring in a global. So properties, we have to import. You can import the packages. Okay, import the packages from the Java ID. So the next one is we need to initialize the WebDriver, right? So public static WebDriver, can give any variable name driver. Okay, WebDriver also you need to import the packages, import from the open create Selenium. Now we have to create a separate method for initialize the driver. Okay, so we create a public void driver initialization. So simple method I'm going to create. So here I can say driver equal to new Chrome driver. Okay. So now here we need to navigate to the URL. So URL we have defined in the property file. Okay. So reading the property file will create a separate method. Okay. So for creating a separate method, what I'll do, this is also you can import the packages. You can create a separate method for reading the property file. So I'll say public void read property file. Okay. Now here, so for reading the property file, first we need to call the file input stream, file input stream FIS equal to, this is one of the class, file input stream class. I'm creating an object of the file input stream. So new file input stream. So here, so you can import the packages. Okay, now it is asking a path of your file. Okay, it is asking a path of your file. You need to read the file. In which file you want to read? So reading the file, here we have a file is there, right? You just click on Alt N tab. You will be getting a location. Just copy the location. Okay, here you can paste it. But usually you should not go with this path. So we need to go with the generic path only. So generic path means, so from here, this is a root of the project. So now we no need this one. You want to, what we can do, user system dot get here. I'll say system dot get property. Okay, here we need to pass. This is the string user dot dir. So it will going to return you the directory. That is a root directory till the project name. So after that you are going to go with that, SRC test resources under the properties, then you have a config.property file. Okay. Now you can add a throws declaration or you can add a surrounded with try catch as well. Okay. Fine. So now this is done. Once this is done, what we are going to do, we need to load the property file. So now here, what I can say, config, we need to initialize the properties. Here we have given, right? So we need to initialize the property. So for that we can say config equal to new properties. Okay. So now config dot, we have to load the file. So it is asking an input stream. So already we have created an input stream. So we need to pass that file input stream. That is a FIS. Okay. Here you can pass that, add throws declaration or surrounded with try catch, anything you can add over here. Okay. So now once this is done, what we are going to do, we are ready to read the property file. Okay. So now from here we are first we need to navigate to the URL. For navigating URL, driver.get. Okay, the URL where we are store it in a config.property file. So config dot get property. Config is the variable which we have given over here. Okay. So if you are giving a different variable, you can pass the variable. So config dot get property. Here we need to pass the what key you have given, right? So if you go to the property, so this is the key, this is the value. So whatever the key you have given, you need to pass the same thing. Okay, Java is case sensitive, right? So if you are giving a caps, you need to pass the same caps only. If you are giving a same small letter you need to give. Otherwise, if you are getting a error. So now, so next thing is we'll see driver dot manage dot, we'll say timeout. First we can add a page load also, right? Page load timeout. So page load time already we have given in a config.property file, right? So this we have given already. So the same thing we can pass. But this is a string value. Okay, when you are getting this is a string value, but we need a integer value, right? So for that, what we can do here, duration dot of seconds. Here we need to pass, we need to convert. Okay, that is a string value. We need to convert it into integer. So we can say integer dot pass integer. Here we can say config dot get property. Okay, here you can say page load time. Just we are converting here. Because all these values are string values. Okay. So now here we need only numeric integer value. So for that we are converting the string value into integer values. Okay. Now the next thing is driver.manage dot timeout. We can implement the implicit wait. So implicit wait duration dot of seconds. Here also we can give a 20 seconds you can pass. Okay. Otherwise, you can give the implicit wait also in the config.property file. Okay. Once this is ready, then we have you want to maximize the window, driver.manage.window.maximize. Okay. You want to delete all the cookies, driver.manage.window.delete all cookies. If you want to delete all the cookies also, you can able to do that. Okay, just save this. So we have done, base class we have done. So read the property file also we have done. So now the next thing is we are going to add all the locators and methods, right, based on the pages. So first I will go to the home page. So in the home page class, first we have to extend the test base class. Why do we extend the test base class? Because the test base class contain all the necessary setup, okay, such as WebDriver initialization, browser setting, application launch, everything where we have a base test only. So now I just copy this over here, extends base test. Okay. Since homepage class also need these settings, right? It inherit them from the base test class. Okay, here the base test act as the parent class and homepage is the child class, or you can call it as a subclass. By extending the base test, right, the homepage class can directly access the initialized WebDriver and reuse the setup, avoiding the redundant code. So this follow the inheritance concept in Java. So making a framework more structured, reusable, and maintainable. Okay. Now let us start writing our script first. So I'll go to the application. Here, first we need to click on the flight, right? So flight search we are going to do. So we are clicking on the flight, then select the round trip. Okay, then you have to enter the from and to, departure date, return date, and you need to click on a search. Okay. So now we are going to use the page object model and page factory, right? So at find by annotation is used to locate the element like, from city to city and the search button, everything we are going to use at find by annotation. Okay. How we usually, write a Selenium code. So in traditional Selenium code, we perform a two tasks in one step. So for example, we are finding the element. Okay. If I want to click this flight, right? So we are finding the element and perform the action. Okay, so I'll go and I'll explain you here. I'll create a method for public void sample method. Okay, so now here, if I just go to driver dot find element, you can call any locator. So if I go with the X path, okay, now this is the finding an element. Then perform the action is this one. Okay, here we are finding an element and clicking on it in the same line. But in page object model and page factory, right, we separate these tasks, okay, for better code structure. So locating a web element using a at find by annotation. So for example, at find by, here we need to pass the locator equal to, you can pass the values, okay, xpath, whatever the things we can give. Then we need to do web element, you can store the web element. For example, if it is a submit button, then you can say submit button. So this is the way we have to. So I'll import the packages for find by and the web element. Okay. Instead of using a driver.find element, we store web element in a variable using find by annotation. Then we have to create in actions class, what we have to do? We need to create a separate method. Okay. Finding the element we have done. Instead of driver.find element, we use find by annotation. Okay, this makes, it's very easier to manage locators. Especially if the export changes in the future, directly you can come and you can change the export. Okay, then we have to, for actions class, we need to create a separate method. So instead of performing actions in same line, we create a method for each actions. Okay, I'll create a method public void click submit. Click submit. Then here what we are going to do, using this variable, just we are going to click. Okay, this is the actions we are going to do. So this is the way. Now our test method will only call the click submit method only. Okay, the test class, right? So it is going to call only this click submit method. Okay, making the test script very cleaner. So traditional Selenium driver.find element we use. Okay, driver.find element and identify the element and just clicking on them. This is less maintainable. Okay, if you are going with the page factory approach, right, the separate element storage using find by and action method for, separate method. Okay, more structure and, it's a very reusable. Okay, now this is the what we are going to do. Now I'll just remove this. We are going to add all the locators first. Okay, let us add, locators for all the element in the home page. I'll go to home page here. First, we need to identify the flight. Okay, then we have a round trip. Then new day, we need to select the drop down for this one. Okay, and you need to enter some values. Okay, anything New Delhi or Chennai, Bangalore. But these values already we have stored it in our configure.property file, right? So we are going to read the values from the property file. So now we need to identify the locators of drop down and this inputs box. Then we need to identify the locator of to, then departure date, return date. I'm clicking on a search button. So all these locators we need to identify. Already I identified the locator. I'll show you how we have to add over here. Okay. So the first thing is we need to flight menu. Okay. So now for that we can say add find by. Here we can say x path equal to the value we need to give. So the value already I stored. I'll show you how I have returned this x path. So now if I go to, I'll inspect this element. Just clicking on a control F, you will be getting this. See now. So now here, see if you see here, this is the, tag name is A. So that's what I have started. A, the contents is a HREF flight. So that's what we have given. Because why I have given a contains, because sometimes it is coming like, flight. Sometimes it is coming, complete URL with the last endpoint is a flight. So that is the reason I have given contains href, that is attribute. Then we have given a flight, and from here this is the parent. From that it's coming into that span. That is a second span it should come. So now it's coming showing like one-on-one element. So we can store this located. Okay, here we can pause that. So now this is, we need to store it in any variable. So web element, this is a web element. Each element in the web page is called web element. So we have to store it in a web element only. So I can say flight menu. Okay, this is the way we need to store one by one element. So the next thing is what? Next thing is we need to identify the round trip. So for round trip, I'll just copy this. I'll show you here. See now round trip. See, I have given the tag name started with CLI and contains text is a round trip. So if you expand, here you see this is the text. So contains text comma round trip I have given. So this is what the export of the round trip. So now I'll go over here. You can add find by export equal to, you can give the value. So now you can store it in the web element. Round trip menu. Okay, you can give a meaningful name, because if suppose if you are coming and if you are checking that, if any changes are there in after sometimes, right, then you should know that, what are the elements. So you can give meaningful name always. So the next thing is what we need to click on this, drop down. Okay, first we need to click on the drop down, then you have to enter the value. So here we need to, here we need to identify the two element, right? So for that we can say add find by x path. The value I can copy from city here. So once, see now it is showing a one-on-one. So here the tag name is a input. Here we have given an ID. So directly we can pass the ID. Okay. So now I'll go to here, x path value. We can pass. This is a web element. Web element of from city drop down. Okay, you can see drop down. So the next thing is add find by x path equal to. So what is the next one? We need to pass the values, right? So now for that you can say, if you go to, I'll copy from the x path here. This is also straightforward only. Okay. See now, this is straightforward. Here we are starting from that input tag name, and we are using a placeholder attribute and from. So that's what I have taken. So now it is showing a one-on-one element. So let's go over here. X path is this one. Okay. Now we can store it in a web element. Web element. Search from city. We are entering the values over there in the, from city input box. Okay. Now, just we are identify the element. Okay. The next we are going to create a method. While creating a method, we are going to do actions. So like suppose if you are entering some keyword, or if you are clicking on that, that actions we are going to perform in that while creating a method, I'll show you. So now we are identify the element only. So once the from is over, then we need to go with the to. At find by xpath equal to, here you can, what is that next one? Next one is a 2. So here I'll show you here. Okay, 2, I need to click on this. Okay, now it's showing a 2 over here. Okay, so now I'll just copy this. See, this is also straightforward. Input tag name placeholder 2. That is the input value. Mean 2 values. So I'll pass this with the element. So here you can give search to city. Okay. So what is that next one? So once we are giving it from value and to value, then we have to give a departure drop down. We need to select the departure drop down, right? So for that I have a, we go to here. This is a departure drop down. So I'll copy this. At find by xpath equal to, can give a value. So now with the element, so here you can see departure drop down. Okay. So the next is a return drop down. Okay. First we need to select the date. I'll show you that. So before that we can say at find by xpath equal to, so what is that return date drop down? I'll copy this. So return drop down, here this is what return date drop down. Okay. So with the element return drop. Fine. So now this much we have identified. Then we have to identify the date. So if you come over here, you select the date. Okay, you select any date. So the date will be, so date will be something like this way. Okay. Now for that what I have to, I'll just copy this. I'll just showing you. Here this is the departure date. So now here I have given a div, that is a tag name, and I have taken the area label is a attribute. That is the area label is a attribute, and the value I have given is a this one, because I don't want to select the exact this date, because dynamically it should select the date as per that. We are giving a date like tomorrow's date, or if I'm giving it tomorrow's date is a departure date, it should dynamically select. If I go and add these values, right? So if I run the script in after some days, it will not going to work. Okay, it will going to throw you the error. So this date right here, it should come in. Here I am adding a placeholder. So this value, dynamically it should come over here. Okay, I'll show you. Now this is the departure date. The return date also I have given the same thing. Okay, so I will go and add. So this is simply string only. Okay, string value, string departure date equal to, we have to pass the values. Okay, this value. So what is that? Equal to false. That's what I need to give. I don't want this one. Okay, string departure date, this one. Okay, so now the same way I can say string return date. Return date equal to same thing. I can copy that. See, here I defined a two XPath. Okay, two XPath expression. Departure date represent the XPath for selecting the departure date, and return date for represent the XPath for selecting the return date. Okay, this XPath, the first it is starting from the div, that is the tag name, and area label. We have given a replace. This is a area label is an attribute commonly used for accessibility. Then the replace is a placeholder that will replace dynamically with the actual date at the runtime. Okay. For example, if I am selecting the March 15 or March 20, right? Then actual XPath will come like, here the value will come. So something like this way. Sunday, April 13, 2025 or Monday, April 2025, right? This value will come over here. So dynamically it has to get the value. So that is the reason here I am giving a replace. Okay. Then we have a area disable equal to false, meaning that it should ensure that the selected date is clickable. Okay, not a disable. If it is making it as a true means, then if it is a true means, then the date is unavailable. Okay, that is where we have given a false. False means it is clickable. Okay, it is available. Fine. So I'll show you that how we are going to get the dynamic value and we are going to pass it over here. Okay. So the next one XPath is we have given a departure date and everything. Then finally we need to click on a search button. Okay. So for search button, I have, this is the search button. Okay. I will copy this. Okay. Now search is a one-on-one element. Let us go and add that at find by annotation. At find by XPath equal to, you can give the value. Okay. Now this is also one of the web element. Web element search button. Okay. So now we identify all the elements. Okay. Usually in organizations, right, we have a, it's a huge project. So if you go to the home page, right, home page, there will be lot of, elements. So we need to identify each and every element. So usually what happened, we used to get, create a one class for identifying all the locators. We store it in one class. Then we have a separate class for, for all the methods we used to create. But now here we have only less element, right? So I'm going to create a method in the same class only. Okay. Let's start create a method for each and every elements. Okay. So first we need to create a constructor. So we need a constructor in all the page classes. Okay. Maybe you can think like, why do we need this? Okay. You may face this question as well in interview. Why do we need a constructor in all page classes? Okay. So constructor means what? So we can create a constructor with the same class name. Okay. I can say public. This is the constructor. Okay. So constructor, here I can add a super. Then we can add page factory dot init elements. I'll show you why we have given this one driver. Then we need to pass this. Okay. So in page object model, right? Page object model, every page class represents the web page. And we define the locators and methods related to the page. So the constructor in the each page class, right? It serves as an essential purpose. Again, constructor helps in initializing the web element. Okay, in Selenium, each test class needs to use the same web driver. Okay, same web driver instance to interact with the web page. So the constructor receives the web driver instance from the test and assign it to the class level variable. Okay, the page factory dot init element. So here we have given a page factory dot init element driver, comma this. So it is used to inside the constructor to initialize all at find by element. So without this at find by locators, right? So it won't work. What if we are not using the constructor, what will happen? So it is going to throw you null pointer exception. If the constructor is missing, the driver in the page class, right? It will be going to be the null. Right? So the other test also will going to fail. Then we have a next problem will be web element won't be initialized first of all. Okay. at find by element won't be recognized because the page factory dot init element, right, is not called means then it is not going to recognize. Okay, in page object model with Selenium, we use page factory to initialize the web element. Okay, in the constructor. So this constructor is responsible for passing the WebDriver instance and initializing the element. So the constructor of this home page initializes the element using a page factory, which helps in efficient element handling. Okay, then we'll create actions for each and every element which we have created. So for example, I just created the first element is a, what is that? Flight mail. Okay, so for that what we can do, public void select flight menu. Okay, this is the method. So now here what we are going to do, flight menu dot click. That's it. Okay, this is what we are going to do. So the same way we can do public void round trip menu. Okay, round trip menu. So that's what we have given here. See, round trip menu we have given. So now I can say so now here round trip menu dot click. Okay, this is the way we need to create a method. Okay, so I'll go on another one, public void enter departure city first. Okay, so departure city from city drop down dot click. So the first one. So here we identify the two elements, right? One is a first we are clicking the drop down, then we need to enter some values. Okay, so here we are going to go with the same method only. So for that we can say search from city dot thank. So we are going to pass the value. Okay, the values already we stored in a config dot property file. Okay, so we can say config dot get property. Okay, so here we need to give where is the property file and go and copy that. So I have given a from. Okay, now we need to pass this from. Okay, I will say from. Now it's going to get the value from the property file. Then we can say, search from city dot send keys. Just we are going to click on a tab. Okay, once we enter the values, then we need to click on the tab to coming into the next, tool. So for that I am using a here keys dot tab. Okay, you can give the tab. Okay, otherwise, if you are entering some value, it will be here only. For example, if we are going with the Chennai, right? Chennai, India, then it will be here only. Otherwise, you need to come down and you need to select. Okay. Once if you are selecting only, it will be coming into that next tab. But instead of entering, so if you are clicking on a tag, it will coming into that next, two element, next element. Okay, so now this is done. We have done enter the departure city. So the next one is we need to click on enter the return city. For that, you can say public void enter return city. So enter return city. Okay, enter the return city. So here we can say search to city dot send keys. Here we need to pass the send keys, right? Because already we have given a tab, so it is coming over here. Then we need to pass the value. Send keys. Here we need to say config dot get property. Here we can pass the value of 2. See, So over here, you can see 2 only we have given. So we can pass the 2. Then here also we can give the same thing for search to city dot ten keys. You can say keys dot tab. Okay, you can give the tab. So in the next step here, we have done that enter the departure city and return city. Now we need to select the departure date. Instead of hard coding the date, we'll create a method to dynamically fetch the current date and calculate the return date. So this ensures the flexibility, allowing our automation script to, always select the correct date based on the current day. Okay, so let's create a method. Okay, I'll say public void enter departure date. Okay, so now here departure, first we need to select the departure, drop down. Then we need to select the date. Okay, so for that selecting a date, we have to create a method. So why is coming here? Then the next step, we need to select the departure date. Okay. As of now, we have done enter the departure city and the return city we have done. Then we need to select the departure date and the return date. So instead of hard coding the date, we'll create a method, dynamically it's going to fetch the current date and calculate the return date as well. Okay. This ensures the flexibility, allowing our automation script to always select the current date based on the current date. Okay, already we have given that, in configuration file, we have given number of days equal to 3, meaning that, so the departure date will be the tomorrow date and return date will be the 3 days from the departure date. So that is what we have given in configuration file, we have given a 3. Okay, you can give 5 days or 6 days as well. Okay, but it's going to calculate. So now let's create a method. So we can say public void enter departure date. Okay, so here departure, first we need to select the departure drop. Okay, dot click. So first we need to select the drop down, right? So if you go here, you can see this is the drop down. You can select that, then only you need to select the date. First you have to click on the drop down. So that's we have done. Now we need to select the date. For selecting the date, we have to create a separate method. Okay, so I'll go to that. So common method we can create in our util packages. So let's go over here. MakeMyTrip here. I just created a test util, right? Here we can create a method. Okay. So whatever the reusable method, we can go over here and we can create a separate method here in a reusable methods. So now the test util package, first we need to extends base test. Okay. So the test util class, right, extend the base test class, which means it inherit the properties and method from the base test. So you can import the packages. So if you go here, you can import the packages. Okay, this is useful for maintaining the structure framework. That is, base test might contain the configuration, setup, and utility methods. Okay, now here we have to declare 2 static variable. One is for a departure date, one is for a return date. So that is what we are going to calculate. So I can say public static. This is a string departure date. Okay. The same way public static string return date. Okay. So these 2 static variables store dynamically generate the departure and the return dates. It's being, static means belong to the class. So we don't need to, no need of instance. Okay, or instance of the test util to access them. So then we'll create a method. We can define a method like, public static. So this method, I can say it is going to return test util. Okay, I'll show you that. get current and current date, and we can say return date. So current date means it's going to calculate the departure date, and the return date we need to calculate. So here, so this method, right? This method calculate and set the departure date and the return date dynamically. So it returns the test util object, but in this case, right now we are mainly using its, storing the dates. Okay, create a util object. First, we have to create a util object. So I can say test util. You can give any variable date equal to new test util. Okay. So here we are create an instance of the test unit, though we are not explicitly using it. Okay. For getting the current date, what we are going to do? For getting the current date, we can call the calendar. Calendar. Okay. Cal equal to calendar dot get instance. Okay. This will going to return you the, current date. For example, I can say, so now I'll go and create a rough package and I'll show you how this is working. Okay, let's go and create a one rough package, rough class. Calendar cal equal to calendar dot get instance. Okay, so now if I want to print the date, then I'll show you how it's going to print. Cal dot get time. So it's going to return you the time of the exact current day and time, everything it is going to return. So I'll run this. So it is returning this one. Okay. Now I'll show you this in our program. If I select the date, see how this is returning. This is what it is returning. Okay. Now I'll go over here. Go to Eclipse. Here I'll show you. So this is what we need. Okay. In between, when you are writing a XPath, right? In between here in this attribute, in this placeholder, we need this much only. Okay. Now what it is returning? It is returning this much. Okay. I'll copy that and I'll show you here. So this is what it is returning. So now what we need to do? We need this much only. So we need that, this one and this one. This one and this one we no need. Okay. This much also we no need. Okay. Date we need. And this much we no need. Only this much we need. Okay. For that, what we are going to do? We are going to use the, split method. We are going to call the split. Just we need to split that, date. Then from that, after splitting, we need to get 1, 2, 3, and 4. This value only we need to get. So 0th index, first index, second index, and third, fourth no need, fifth only we are going to get. Okay. So what we are going to do? We are going to calculate, we are going to get the date, current date, and we need this much only, right? We no need of, this much. So for that, we are using a split class. Split method, we are going to use the split method to split all the values. After splitting, we are going to get 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 values only from this current date. Okay. So what we can do, we will go and create here. So here, the current date, I mean the departure date will be the, maybe the tomorrow's date. Okay. You can add a tomorrow's date. So for we can say cal dot, you can add calendar dot date. Okay. So here you can say comma, you can add 1. So meaning that it is going to add a 1 date. So if today is a Sunday means tomorrow, Monday date will go into book. That is a departure date. Okay. So if you don't want, you can delete that. Okay. You don't want to, if suppose if you are going to select the current date only, the departure date means no need of this line. Okay. You can remove that. But if you are going to select the tomorrow's date, I'm just going to the select tomorrow's date. So I'm adding 1 date from the current date. Okay. So we are going to calculate that. We have done the current date. So now we need to say string. We are going to split the values, right? So for splitting the value, we can say uh, cal dot get time. Okay, so get time, this is going to return it. Now you need to, that is a integer value. Now you need to convert it into string. Why we are converting it to string? Because in the split method we have a in string only. So you are going to split. We need to pass the regular expression here. What are the delimiter you want to pass over here. Okay, when you want to here, as per the space we want to split. See, if you go here, as per the space you want to split. Okay, so that's why we are giving a delimiter is a space. Now we are splitting. So we can store it in a variable. So now if you are splitting that, it is going to return you the array only, string of array. So you can store it in a string of array. You can give date equal to this one. Okay, now we are getting all the date. So here you can say test util dot the departure date. Say departure date. What is the departure date here? Departure date, what we want? We want only this much. Okay, we don't want this much. So what we can do here, you can say we are already splitted, right? So we are splitted. It is in a zeroth index, 0, first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. So now here, if you go, the departure date, what we are going to give? Date array of zeroth value we need. Okay, then plus, then we need date array of first index also we need. Then we have a plus date array second index also we need. So if you go here, you can see 0th we need, first and second we need. So this much we don't want. Okay, 0, 1, 2 and 3, 4 we don't want. Then 5 only. So I'll go over here. I can say plus date array, then fifth value. Okay, this much we want. Okay, now this will going to return only the value what we want. Okay, this much value only it is going to return you. Okay, so now this is the departure date. Then we need a return date. Return date, what we have given? We have to select the date, from the current date to 3 days or 4 days or 2 days, any date we can pass. Okay, so we can say cal dot add calendar dot date. Okay, here you can pass maybe 2 days or 3 days you can pass over here. Okay, now we need to select. We need to select the date array equal to cal dot get time here dot to string. Okay, to string dot we are going to split again. So what is that splitting? Based on the spaces. Okay, after splitting, what we are going to do? Test util. Why I am adding a test util? Because here we have declare a variable. Okay, so that is the reason here we are giving a test util dot return date. Here return date equal to date array. So we can pass the same thing. I'll copy that, paste it over here. Okay, so now it's ready. Return date also ready, departure date also ready. So now this method will going to return you date. Okay, now this much is okay. Fine. Now let us understand one more thing here. If I go to the home page, we need this export. Okay, for that departure date and return date, this export we need. Okay, we need to replace, from here, right, this placeholder, we need to replace this value to the return departure date what we have calculated and return date what we have calculated, it should come over here. Okay, for that what we are going to do, we'll create a separate method for XPath, custom XPath. Okay, create a custom XPath as well. Now we have to create a method for custom XPath. It should dynamically generate an XPath locator by replacing the placeholder. So in a given XPath string with a specific parameter value, okay, it returns the XPath locator as a Selenium by object. So which can be used to locate a web element. So I'll say public, you can say static. It is going to return you by, okay, custom XPath. Here this is going to return, first one we need to pass string XPath. Then we need to pass that, what is the parameter we need to change. So I can say string param. Okay. Okay, by class you have to import. So now here, once it is running, it returns the by object only. It takes the two parameter, XPath and param. XPath is the base XPath string with the placeholder. So that we need to pass. Then the param is the actual value that will we have to replace to the to the placeholder. Okay, that is the replace in the XPath. So for that here inside that what we are going to do, we'll create a string raw path equal to here XPath dot replace. We need to replace all. We have to give a replace all. Okay, replace all. Here we need to pass the what we need to pass. Already we have given a this one. Okay, this one I'll just copy that. I give it over here. Okay, just we need to replace this one. So we need to give it in a double quotes only. So we can pass that. Okay, then we need to give param. That's it. Okay, now it's going to convert the updated XPath raw path into the Selenium by dot XPath locator and then it's going to return. So we can say return by dot XPath. Okay, here you can say raw path. This is what it is going to return. Okay, so instead of this value, already we are identified the values departure date and return date. It's going to paste over here. Then it is going to pass here in our home page. Okay, when we are using it. Okay, now here if you come, here you can say test util dot date. Date equal to test util dot get current, current date and the return date. So this is what we have to do. Now you can say driver dot find element. Here you can say test util dot custom XPath. We need to call the custom XPath. Here we need to say departure date. Okay, and here we need to say date dot departure date. Now dot click. That's what we are going to do. So this is the way we have to select the custom XPath, departure date. Okay, I'll show you that while running, I'll show you in a step by step. Okay, now this is the way we are creating a departure date. Okay, we are selecting the departure date. Now we need to select the return date. So we have to go with the public void enter return date. So now return date, we can say return, first we need to select the drop down, right? So we can select the drop down first, then test util date equal to test util. Test util is the package, the class we have created, right? So that is what test util dot get current and return date. Okay. So now here, so the next step what we are going to do, we need to say driver dot find element. Here we need to say test util dot custom XPath we need to call. Here we need to say return date and here also date dot return date. Okay, then dot click. That's it. So the return date which is coming from that, here we have given, right, return date. Where it is see this one, return date we are giving, and it is going to replace this value and it is going to paste. That's one. Okay, now this is the way we have to give. Now the next thing is, so the final one is we need to click on a search. Okay, we enter the return date, departure date and return date. Once this is done, what we need to click on the search. Okay, so for that we can say public void search button. Here search button, right? So you can see the same variable, whatever the variable you are given, you need to do the same thing. Button dot click. That's it. Okay. So far we have identified the locator and create a method for each actions. Okay. Now we need to create a test cases. Okay. So let's understand, how we have to create a test cases. So now the test cases where we have to create a here. This is now we have to go with the flight search, right? So I'll go and say flight page test. Okay, or you can say search flight also. You can add a search flight or you can add a flight search. So now let's see. So already we have created a home page, right? Here only we have all the locators and actions classes are there, right? So now we need to, first thing is we need to create a, first extend that, right? Extend the base class. Base class we need to extend. Extends base test. Okay, first thing is we have to do this one. Can import the packages. Now, first, next what we have to do, we need to create a method for, search flight. So I can say public void search flight. Here, inside that we need to create an object of the home page class, because in home page class only we have all the, method locators and, the actions class are there. So home page, we can say home equal to new home page. So inside that, so you can import the packages for home page class. Okay. Now inside that, what we need to do, we need to say home dot. First we need to select the flight menu. Okay. First we need to select the flight menu. Then home dot. We need to select the round trip menu. Then home dot. Enter departure city. Okay. Then home dot. Home is that, the class. Home page class. Home dot. Enter the departure city. Then what is that? Enter return city, right? So enter the return city, then home dot departure date we need to select. Departure date, then home dot return date. Enter return date. Return city we have selected, enter the departure date and the return date we have selected. So once this is done, then we need to go with the home dot search button. Okay, so these are the steps we are going to do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, things. That's it. Okay. So these are the things we are going to do. Now the next thing is we need to create a, setup class. Okay. Test setup we need to create. We can create a test setup class under the test case packages. Here itself we can create. I'll go and create a new class for test setup. Okay. So this is also we need to extend base test. So we need to extend the base test. So now I hope you people are doing parallelly with me. If you have any questions, you can just add it in the comment sections. I'm happy to help you on this. So the next thing is what we are going to do. This is done, we have to create a setup method. Public void setup method. Here what we need to do, we need to uh, read property file. Property file. Okay. So add throws declaration. Return property file. Then we have to driver initializations we have done, right? I'll go and copy this from here. So the next thing is, okay, now this is what, your before shoot it has to run. Before shoot. Okay, you can import the packages for before shoot. So import that. So the next one is a after shoot. So for that we can say public void down method. So here you can say driver dot quit. Okay. So now this is our after shoot. After shoot also you can import the packages. So next thing is what we are going to do. We need to create a TestNG XML file. Okay. From the TestNG XML file only we are going to execute the code. Okay. So for that what we are going to do, you just go to your project, directly right click from here, you just coming over here, convert. Before that what I'll do, in the flight search page, right? So I need to add, here you can add test. Okay. Now, so now go and create our convert to TestNG. So here you can just click on a finish. Okay. So once click on finish, here the TestNG XML file is getting created. Now you just select this TestNG XML file. Select that source. Okay. Now here you can give, the name, suit name you can give, test case name you can give, thread count we can do that later. Okay. So now the suit name we can give any suit name. For example, we can give framework. Okay. Now the test case name also we can give search write test. Okay. Now this is the way we can pass our, we can give a name. Okay. Suit name and test case name we have given. Now what we are going to do, once this is ready, now we have to run the code. Okay. Let us run this code and see how this is working. Okay. This much how this is working. Let us see. And the next thing is we will implement the text reports and we can see that. Now let's run this. So one test case is passed. You go over here. It is showing a green in color. Fine. So this much it is working fine. It is selecting the date, selecting the departure date, selecting that, return date, everything it is getting selected. So now let us implement our reports. Okay, let us implement our report. I'm going to use the extend report. So in form.xml already we have added a extend report, right? See, extend report we have added. So we can implement our extend report. So go to base class. Here we can, create a separate method for reports, extend reports. Okay. So let's go over here. We can add a public static extend reporter, HTML reporter. Okay. So now You can say extend Spark reporter. You have to so the next one is a public static extend reports. You can give a variable name extend. Okay. So extend reports you can add from the import. Import the packages. So next one is a public static. We can say extend. You can add a extend test. So extend test. Then we have a public static. I can say extend test. We can add a child test as well. Okay. So now you can import the packages for extend reports. So now we have to set up the extend report. So for that we need to create a method. You can say public void set extend report. See, now I have added only one test cases. We can add a number of test cases, but the setup everything is done means then we can add a more test cases as well. Okay. So now let's go here. First thing is HTML reporter. Right. First we have to initialize the HTML reporter. So I'll go here. HTML reporter. Okay. Equal to new extend Spark reporter. Okay. Here we need to pass, where you want to generate a report. Okay. You can say first thing is let's say system dot get property. This is here we need to give. I mean, if you want to get the root of your project, right? So this is what we need to give. System dot get property. Here you need to call user directory. So it will going to return you the root directory of your project. So after that you need to give, you can, in the root project, in the root of your project, then you need to extend report. Extend reports. Okay, here you want to extend report. Here you can say make my trip reports. Make my trip report dot html. Okay, so the file you have to generate this. Okay, now here we need to say the next one is a we have to set the title name. For example, in the report, if you want the title or if you want the report name or if you want if you want to set the theme, so all those things we can able to define over here. Okay, the first thing is if you want to set the title of your project, so you can add a title as well. So for example, here you can say HTML reporter dot config. Here you can say set document title. So here we have a method called document title. You can add a document title. So make my trip automation report. Okay. So the next thing is if you want to set the report name. For example, if it is a functional testing or regression testing or what testing you are going to do, so you can set the report name as well. For example, HTML reporter dot config. Here you can say set reporter dot set reporter report name. So you can give a report name. So it is asking you the what report name if you want to give, you can give. So for example, functional testing. Okay, you can give the functional testing. So suppose if you want to give that, the theme as well. For example, if you want to set the theme as well, we have a standard theme and a dark theme is there. If you want to set the theme, then you can say HTML reporter dot config. Here you can say set theme. Say set theme, here you can pass that, theme dot dark is there, standard is there. If you want to dark, then you can select the dark. Then if you want the standard, then you can go with the standard as well. Okay. So now Next thing is, these are the options. As per your client request, then you can go ahead and you can add all those things. Okay. But then if you want to attach that reports, right? So we have to initialize that extend reports first. So for that, what we can do, we can say extend equal to the extend here we have given, right? So we are initialized. So this is the extend. This is the extend reports. So you can say extend equal to new extend reports. So now here the next thing is how you want to attach the report. Okay, extend dot attach reporter. Here you need to say maybe if you want that HTML reporter, you can add a HTML reporter here. Okay, so if you want to add a detail of your system configuration, then you can add a system configuration as well. For example, extend dot you can say set system information. You can pass. For example, if you want to pass the host name, right? You want to paste the host name or you can give host name equal to maybe if it is a local host or Citrix, whatever the things you can add on it. Okay, so you can say local host. If you want to enter that like for example environment or the tester name, all those things, author name you can add all those things. For example, extend dot set set system information. You can say environment. If you want to add an environment you can add. For example, if it is a stage or UAT or something like that, you can add also. Okay. So these are the things we have to do. Now once this is done, we can see you can add a number of things like informations you can add the tester name also we can add. So all those things we can add. Then we can see in test setup, right? Here also, we need to implement. Let's set extend report. So we need to call this. The next thing is here also we can add. I mean we need to plus that, like extend. Once this is done, dot plus dot plus. Okay, dot plus. This is what we have to do. So now if you go to TestNG XML file, okay, we can run the code. Okay, let's understand. Okay, I'll close this one. First, let us run this code. And here, there is no root file, there is no extend report. Now, it should generate the extend report over here. Okay, let's run this and see. So, let's run the search. Okay, now everything is working fine. So, let's go to the project, click on a refresh. See now the extend report is coming over here. See MakeMyTrip HTML. So Alt Enter. If you click on Alt Enter, you will be getting part of this file. Just copy that. So copy your locations from here and go to your browser. You just paste this, in your URL. So you will be getting the result over here. Right. So now we have executed one test case. So this is passed. If you see here, you could able to see all the details. Like when we are started, when we are in there, like what is that name title we have given. So all those things here you will then able to see. The system environment you could able to see. This is what we have written here in our base test, right? So I'll go to base test. See here I have given a system information, so whatever we need, so that details it is coming over here. Okay. So if you want to add some other values also, you can able to add over here. Okay, now let us go and add some other values. Like, in a test cases, you go to slide page. So here I can add like, each and every step if I want to know in my report, then I can add a test log. So you can add a messages. For example, so here once the flight is clicked, right? So that time what we have to do, we can add test dot log So here you can say status dot information. So you are going to pass the information, status dot information you are going to pass. Here you can pass the message, what you want to, add in your report. So for example, clicked on flight menu. Okay, so all the steps, whatever you have written, it will come to in your report. Okay, so now here you can say test.log. Here you can say status.info. So now here you can say, okay, you can say clicked on round trip menu. Okay, so the same way I'll copy this line and add it also. So the message you can pass, enter the departure city. Okay, so here enter the return, city, right? Enter the, I mean, when we have a test log, here we can say enter the departure date. So you can add enter departure date. Okay, so the same way here you can say. So this all will come over here in your report. Okay, enter return date. Okay, enter return date. So then click on a submit button. Click on a search button. Click on search button. Okay. So now this will come over here in your report. Let us run again and I'll show you. So now let me run this. Here I don't know that detailed result. Okay, now it is getting executed. Let's go to your and refresh here. I mean, here also you can go under refresh. You will be getting, see here, whatever we have written, it's showing over here. Click on the flight menu and round trip, enter the departure city and the to city and the departure date, return date, and click on a search. Everything you could able to see over here. So this is simply you need to add a log status, test.log. You can able to add whatever the message you want, you can add. So it will come over here in your. So the client side, if checking that report side, they could able to understand like, what are the steps we have done, each steps. So you could able to see that. Okay. We have created a project structure and added one test case. If you want to add more test cases, it's easy right now. Okay. If suppose if you want to take a screenshot in case of failure, we can take a screenshot and attach them in the report as well. So I'll create a method for, taking a screenshot. I'll go to the test util package class. Here I'll create a one method for taking a screenshot. Okay, so I'll create public. I'll go with the static method and it is going to return you the string. And method name is a get screenshot. So this method is a static, meaning that it can be called without creating an instance of the class. Okay, the return type is string because it will be the file path of the saved screenshot. Okay, so screenshot always store with the unique name. We have the we have to ensure that so we can use the timestamp for that, okay, to generate the timestamp. Let's say if you want to generate the timestamp, let's say I can say string current date equal to, we'll make it as a, we'll call the simple, date format. So simple date format. Okay, here I need to pass, which format I want. So here I'll go with that year, month, date, hours, minutes, seconds. So what I'll do, I'll go with that year, okay, and month, date, hour, and minute and second. So this is what the format I want. Okay, so I'll say format. Here I'm saying new date. Okay, that's what we want. So it is going to return you the current date. So date is a function. Fine. So now, it generates the unique timestamp, okay, using a current date and time. We ensure that, the format is year, month, day, hour, minute, and second. Why we use the timestamp as a file name? Because this timestamp, right, is used to take the screenshot, file name. Okay, to prevent the overwrite the file. If suppose if you are giving us one file name, right, then what happens whenever if you are taking a screenshot, it is going to overwrite. Okay, instead of that, we want to take a multiple screenshot. In this case, we use the timestamp. Okay, so now let's go and take a screenshot. So using take screenshot interface. So what I'll do, I'll go here. So this will I'm going to store it in a file class. Okay, here I'll say takes screenshot, take screenshot. Here I'll pass driver. The driver is the cast for the take screenshot. So I'll say driver dot get screenshot as. This is the method we are going to call get screenshot as. Here we need to pass the output type. So output type dot, so which format you want, like here we have a file for object or bytes or base 64 we can able to. Now I'll go with the file object. Okay, so driver is a cost to take screenshot, which is an interface, like a take screenshot is an interface in Selenium that allows capturing the screenshot. Okay, get screenshot as is a method. We are going to, it is going to asking you the output type which you want. Okay, it takes the screenshot and save it as a temporary file object. Okay, so now we have stored. So it's taking the screenshot and it store it in a one of the variable. I'll show stores. Okay, now here I just wanted to save it in a particular destination. Okay, where I want to store the file. Here it is taking the screenshot and store it in a temporary file. I want to store it in a some folder, like maybe in your system or usually will be keep it here only. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll go and create a one folder here. I'll just go and create a folder. Otherwise, I'll go to the test resources. Here we'll create, okay? Here we'll create a folder for taking a screenshot. Okay, screenshot. So it's going to store it in this folder. So if I want to store, what I'll do, I'll create a one more variable, that is string destination equal to, okay, here we'll pass the, this path. Okay, this path we want to pass. So for that we can say system dot get property. So here we can pass user dot dir. So this will go into user dot dir. This will go into return you the root of your project. Okay. So after that we'll say here, from here we need to go from src, right? Src test, okay, resources. After that, screenshots. Okay, in this folder we want to keep our file. Okay, so screenshot, and after that we need to specify the folder, which the screenshot name we need to pass over here. So for that what we are going to do, we are going to pass the current date, right? So what I'll do, here I can say after this we'll add one plus current date, okay, plus this will be the dot, png. So I can add a dot png. So this is the way we can store the our screenshots. Okay, it's taking the screenshot and store it in the temporary file. Now the destination I need to give over here. This string destination is the one of the variable I have given. Here we are passed the path of the file where we want to store. Okay, so here I have given a root of the project. Then we will pass the src test resources. Under that we have a screenshot folder. So within the screenshot folder we want to save our file. Okay, screenshot. So the screenshot will, which name it is going to save, it is going to store it in the current date with the .png. Okay, if you want to add, the method name also you can add. I mean, test case name also we can add over here. Okay, fine. So now this is what, this is going to, I mean, src system.get property user.dir, right? This will going to fetch the project root directory. Okay. Then the SRC's test resources, these are specify the folder where the screenshot will be stored. Current date .png, it ensures that each screenshot has a unique file name using previously generated the timestamp. Okay. So now we need to, so we have a source is there and destination is there. We need to copy that, right? We need to copy from source to destination. So for that we can say file handler. So we'll call the file handler dot. We have a method called copy. See, it is asking the source file and the destination. I mean from and to. So now this is the source and the destinations. What we have to do, we need to go with the. We have to create a new file. Okay, we need to create a new file over here. So for that we can say new because new file only it's going to create. So here we can pass destination. Okay. So this is what we need to pass. So here you can add a throws declaration or surrounded with try catch. Anything is fine. Okay, so now file handler will dot copy method. It is going to copy the from the temporary file to this destination. This new path, whichever we are passing, this will going to store over here. Okay. So now, if suppose if the test case is it's not the file is not identified, if suppose if it is throwing any exception, then if suppose it is coming into the catch block, I can print here saying that failed to capture the screen. Okay, and also if you want to get the message, you can add a message as well. So e dot get message. So this will going to return you whatever the error message. So e is this variable. Okay. From this variable, I have given a e dot get message. Fine. So now I don't want this one. So if any error occurs, it will coming into the catch block and it is going to print this line with the get message. I mean with the error message. So this method will going to return you the string. That is the destination. Right? So now let's go and add a return destination. What is the destination here? Destination is the path of your file. Okay, because when we are getting a destination, then only we can able to store it, we can able to attach it in our report. Okay, this return the saved screenshot location. So which can be useful for attaching the reports. Okay, so now this is ready. Now we have to create a listener. Okay, what is listener? In TestNG, listener is, like a, it's for specific event during the test run. It will listen for the specific event. For example, event is like when test start, pass is one of the event, failed is one of the event, skip is one of the event. Okay, so it allows you to define custom action as per the event. So now I'll create a packages for listener. So I'll go over here. I'll create a new packages for listener. So I'll just create form dot make my trip dot listener. So here I'll create a new class. Custom listener. So here what I need to do, I need to extend, okay, paste test. And also we are going to implement iTest listener. iTest listener is one of the interface from TestNG. See now, you can import that iTest listener and you can import the base test which we have created. Okay, now here we have done that iTest listener. Now you have to override the method. So what are the methods we can override? So let's go and add a override method. If you go to right click from here, go to the source, you will be getting a override implement method. You just click on that. It is asking you which method you want to override. So you can say, now I'll go with the iTest listener, whatever the method is there. I just click on OK. So now here we are going to override that, right? So now I don't want that, whatever is inside, I don't want that. I just delete that. So we are going to implement. Okay, we are going to implement whatever, we can customize whatever we want as per our requirement. So I'll just delete all those things. Okay. So now here, see here we have a method, on test start. Yeah, on test success, on test failure, skipped, on test, start, on finish. So everything is there. These are the method in, in interface. These all the methods are in interface. So in interface, there is only method. We have to override the method. Okay, whatever we want, we need to override over here. So what I'll do, I just go and create for on test success. If suppose whatever the test cases is passed, this method will going to trigger. So whatever you inside that method, right, this will going to execute. Okay, now here I'll go with that. I can say string method name. If you want to get the method name, you can add a method name. Method name, it will be the result dot get name. So this is the method name. So the method name means like, your test case name. Okay, that is the method name. You can store it over here. Now next thing is I can say string log text equal to, we'll add a break over here first, and first we'll add a break. Okay, the B is a break, and we can say plus test. So this is also we can add within the test case. So this things, right, we want in our report. Okay, that is the where we can write. I will show you that in the report where it is executed. Then we can say method name dot. So if you want to make it as uppercase, you can make it as uppercase. Then plus, you can say this is a pass, right? So you can say pass. So this test cases is pass. Then we'll add, we'll make it as a break. So again we'll go and we close the break. Okay. So now, so the next thing is what we need to do. We need to add if suppose I want to make it as the label with the green color. Okay, if it is a test cases is passed, I want to make it as a green color label. So I can say markup, can give m equal to markup helper dot method called create label. See, here we need to pass what we need to in the label, what it should be. Okay. If suppose I have given this line. Okay. Now I can add a log test. Next will be the extend color dot what color you want to add. You can say green color, right? Because usually whenever the test case is passed, we used to go with the green color. So you can add a green color. Then you can import this. So now test dot log status. Here you can say status dot pass. Right, this is the pass, right? So we can add a pass. So this will going to come in a report, okay, extend report. So now this is the only for the on test success, like meaning that the test case is false. If suppose the test case is fail, okay, we need to take a screenshot, okay? So that's what already we have created a separate method for taking a screenshot. So now here we need to call that particular screenshot method because whenever the test case is fail, I just wanted to take a screenshot. So test.log status.fail. This is a fail. Here also you can take a test case name, right? What test cases will going to fail? You can take the test case name as well. So for that, this is the variable, right? So you can add a result dot get name. So this will going to return you the test case name. Okay, which test case will fail? It is going to return. So now here you can say test fail. Okay, that is also you can add. Okay. So fine. Now the next thing is we need to get the screenshot, right? So for that we can say first I want to take a screenshot path. Screenshot path where I'll get from that destination. The get screenshot method is going to return you the destination. That is a screenshot path. Okay. So screenshot path equal to test util. That is the method. That is the that is the class dot method is a get screenshot. Okay. So now here we can say test dot fail. Let's see result dot get throwable. If suppose the test case is fail, I just wanted to get the message, error message and get message. So now here I can say comma media entity builder. So media entity builder dot create screenshot capture from the path. Okay, this is the method we need to call. So what I'll do, make it a down. So get screenshot test.fail. Okay. Create screenshot capture from the path. Here we need to pass the path. Then we can say dot build. Dot build. Okay. That's it. So now we have done. Okay. Whenever the test case is failed, this method will trigger. So here whatever you have written, it is going to execute. Okay. So now this much done. Now if you go to that on finish, right? So where is that? On finish. Here we can say, here we'll add if extend not equal to null. We can say not equal to null. Then we'll add extend dot flush. Okay. We are going to close the extend. Okay. It's going to start. It is executed this method. Then once it is done, then we need to close. This finish method will going to call. Okay. So now we are added a TestNG listeners. Then what you have to do in the TestNG part, here we need to add a listener. Okay. So here we can say listeners. Here we need to add listeners. So within that listener, we can say listener class name equal to class name equal to always we need to go here how we have done. This is the package name dot class name. The same things here also we need to give. So what is the package name here we have given? This is the package name, right? So if you go, this is the package name. Just copy the package name from here. Package name dot class name. So class name is a this one. You can give a class name. Package name dot class name. Okay. So now this is ready. So now we have only one test cases, right? We'll create a one login test cases for, login test cases. Then, if it is the login test cases fail, then we come to know, it's going to take a screenshot. Okay. What I'll do, so once we are searching, right? That is the first test cases. Once we are searching, this is the search result. So here we have a login button is there, right? Login link is there. So you need to click on the login. Okay, that is what, our next test case is maybe. Okay. So what I'll do, so I'll create a one more test cases now. Okay, the simple test cases. I'll go to the, first I need to go to the pages, right? So I'll go to the login pages. Here I'll create a, so first we need to extend base test. Okay. So now here we can say, first we need to add a method, right? At find by, we need to add a export for the login. I'll right click from here, inspect this. So login or is that. Okay. We have a control here. We can add here span text equal to login or this one. See now it is getting highlighted. It is showing a only one element. So I'll copy this export and I paste it over here. Export equal to base test. You can import the packages. So now this is the web element login. Okay. Once we click on a login, it's coming this page. So here I need to enter the mobile number. So first I'll go and identify the locator. Input is there and placeholder is enter mobile number. Input placeholder enter mobile number. Placeholder is an attribute. So you can add an attribute. See now it is identify the locator. So now let's go and add find by x path equal to this one. Now this is the enter mobile, right? Web element enter mobile. So the next one is you enter some mobile number, right? Just click on a continue. Spam text is a continue. Text equal to continue. And text equal to continue. Now add find by x path equal to the value. Now web element continue. Okay. We'll add continue button. Okay. So this much we'll do because if we are giving, invalid number, it's not going to click, so that it is going to take a screenshot. Let's continue, this much. Okay. So now what we need to do, we need to create a constructor for this login page first. I hope you remember that we have done for that, home page. We have done first we identify the locator, then we need to create a constructor for that. Then we have to create a actions class for same locator, whatever we have copied, right? The same thing you can follow and you can create a more test cases as well. Okay, in your project also you can able to do that. But now let's create a constructor. So constructor is a, with the class name, we need to create a constructor, right? So public, this is a constructor. So we can add super page factory dot init element. Here we can pass the driver and here I can say this. So now this is the way we need to create a constructor. So next we'll create a method for the element already we have created. So now public void login. So here I can say login dot click. Just we are going to click the login button. The next thing is public void enter mobile. Okay. So here I can say enter mobile dot. So we need to add a same keys, right? So you need to add some values. So here I can say 9. So I'm randomly I've given some number. So many 10, 8, 6, 8, 10. Okay. Let's give some random number. Then we'll say public void with continue. Let's continue. Here I can say continue button dot click. Just we are going to click on it. Okay. So let's see this much how it is working. So we have created the login page. Now the test we need to login test cases we need to add over here. And the test cases, we'll go to the login page test. Here we'll add. Here also we need to extend base test. So now here we'll create a method public void do login. Okay, this is the at the rate of test. So we'll add a test over here. So this is the test cases, right? So now here also we can add a test extend dot create test. So this one will be login to book flight. Okay. So login to book the flight. So now I can see we need to create a class for the login page. Okay, this login page we need to create an instance over here. Login page will say login equal to new login page. So this is the way we need to create an instance of the class. So then login dot we'll call a method login. Okay. Then we can add a report. How we have added in a home page, right? In home page test. So home page, sorry, flight search, right? So flight search test, what we have done, we have added some of them, functions like whatever that activities we have done. We want to add it in a report. So we need to add it over here in this way. So this is the same thing we can add over here in a login page test as well. Okay. Once the login is clicked, so then you can add a message in the report. If you want to add it in the report, then you can say test.log status.info. Here you can add click on login link. Okay. So now the next function is a login dot enter mobile. Okay. So test.log status.info. Here we can pass a message. Enter mobile number. Okay. Then login dot click continue. Right. So now here also you can say test.log, status.info, will pause, click on continue button. Okay. So now we have added everything. So now we need to add this in our TestNG XML file. So XML file we have only one test case, right? So now I need to add one more test cases which we have created for the login page test. So what I'll do, I'll just copy this, I paste it over here. I don't want this test setup here. Now this is the login test, right? So we can say login test. So now instead of MakeMyTrip test cases, here I can say login page test. Okay, login page test. I mean package name dot class name. That's what we used to give. So package name is the same package name and the class name is the login page test. Okay, now here we have added two test cases. Okay, let us run this and see how this is working. So we have added the listener as well in the TestNG XML. So let's save this, run this. In second test cases, it clicked on the login and it entered the number, but it's not clicked. So let's see how this is going to work. Execution over. Two test cases pass. It's not clicked, but how the two test cases pass? Okay, no problem. Let's say refresh this. It's not taking any screenshot because it's not test cases not getting failed, right? So I'll go to extend report. Let's see here. We'll forcefully fail the test cases and we'll check it out. Okay, now let's go to the browser. Okay, now see these are the label which we have created in our listener class, right? So the test case is passed. Here also test case passed, do login. This is the caps which we have given over here. So in our listener, right, where is the custom listener? Here we have given whenever the test case is passed, so it has to take that, get the method name, that is the test case name, and make it as uppercase. And we need to add a pass as well. That's what here it is getting added. See, test case, do login, and this case is passed. Okay. So inside that, whatever we have added in our all the steps, right, it is getting added. So this is the way we have to check it out. See here, we have two test cases. All the things passed. The system environment which we have given, it is getting added over here. So the test case is passed. This is 100%. It is getting, see, two test cases passed over here. Okay, 100% pass. So now let's make it as a, forcefully we'll fail the test cases and see how that's going to work. Let's go over here in a login page test. Okay. Let's make a continue button, right? So here I'll add a 1, 2, 3. I mean, I'll make it as a, invalid export. Okay, I've just given an invalid export, so it's not going to click. Let's see how this is going to work. Okay, if the test case is failed, it's going to take a screenshot. Let's run this and see. Okay, this time, there is no login button over here in this page. So sometimes it happen like this, but in this case, anyway, the test case is going to fail. Let's see. Okay, the test case is failed. See, one pass, one fail. Let's refresh this. See, now here we have a one screenshot getting added. So I'll go to the refresh this. See now one test case passed. Here one test case failed. If you go, see now this is that it's taking a screenshot and it's stored it over here. Okay. So now to login failed, no such element unable to find locate the element which is the locator, showing that. So this is the exception it is throwing. Then it's taking a screenshot as well. Okay, now if you go over here, see now one test case passed, one test case is failed. So that's what it is showing also. Okay, so in the different color it is showing one pass, one fail, one is the information 7. Okay, that is for log part. Fine. So now you know step by step how to create a framework in TestNG with page object model and page factory pattern, right? So if suppose to explain this same framework in interview, how you have to explain this? So you have to start from that introduction. So you have to start like I have implemented, or you have already if you are worked in. So you can start with that I have worked in. Okay. If you are implemented, then you have to start with that I have implemented Selenium automation framework using Java TestNG and page object model with PageFactory. So the framework is structured to ensure the reusability and maintainability and scalability. So you can explain one by one. Now you can start with the project structure, right? You can explain the project structure. Like, our framework is follow the modular structure divided into different packages under the SRC main Java and SRC test Java along with the external resources as well. Okay. So SRC main Java, this is the core framework components. Here we have a base packages. It contains the test base class which initialize the WebDriver, load the properties from the configuration file and manage the common setup and T down operation, all those things. Then you can say that page packages over there. In the page packages contains the individual page classes following the page object model and the page factory, right? We are using a undefined by annotation for each page classes, right? Each page classes has a web element and corresponding reusable method as well. Okay, that is also you can add. Then we have a util packages is there. In this util package, it contains the reusable utility methods, including like, take a screenshot method, get the current departure date and return date. Okay, it retrieve the dynamic date values. Then we have a custom XPath we have created, explicit weight. You can create explicit weight method separately. You can create a get screenshot method, right? Then whatever the things it's required and you can add it over here. Okay, so that is what in our test util packages. Then if you're coming into that SRC test Java, here we have a test cases, like it contain all the test classes. It organized under the test case package. Okay, each test class extend the test base class to reuse the setup and t down method. Okay, we use the at the rate of at test and at before method, at after method annotation from the test engine. Okay, then you can add like data provider as well. Like we are using a Excel. Okay, fetch the test data from the Excel using a data provider as well. Now, if we are coming into the test SRC test resources, right? This is the external file. For example, we have a configuration property file. So we are store the environment, URL, browser type, and other configurations. We are store it in a configuration property file. Then we have a Excel. If suppose we are storing the data, right? If we are using a multiple data, you can add over that. Like we store the test data for the parameterization. Then for that reporting, so we are using we implemented the extend report to generate the test execution report. That's what you have to say. You can say like, we capture the failed test screenshot and store them in the, dedicated folder, like, screenshot folder. And we are store it in our, we are going to map it in our extend report as well. Okay. How this framework ensure the efficiency? You have to explain that. Okay. So you can say like modular scalable, it follow the page object model and page factory, making maintenance very easy. So there is a reusability method. We have a lot of common utility method. We have test data management also. We reduce the redundancy. Okay. Then reporting part, you can say extend report. So you can add a extend reports which provides a detailed execution of your, insights. Then you can say like, then in presentation, right, you have to start with the framework type and what are the technology you are using. Then you can explain folder structure and purpose of each packages. Okay, describe the utilities, reporting and error handling. Okay, then highlight the advantages, how this setup, improve the automation testing. So far, you have learned to build the Selenium automation framework from scratch using a Java TestNG and page object model with page factory. I hope this is going to help a lot. Based on your project requirement, you can enhance it by integrate an Excel reader using a TestNG data provider, implement additional test cases and utility methods. Okay, it's deepening your understanding of core automation concepts. So we have covered the complete framework structure, including base classes, page classes, utilities, test cases, external configuration, and reporting, right? And external reports. So additionally, I have shared how to explain this framework effectively in interview as well. Okay, by breaking it down into key components. So you can highlight its advantages and showcasing its efficiency in the real-time automation scenarios. Okay, with this knowledge, you will be prepared to implement, enhance, and confidently present your automation framework in any technical discussion. Okay, keep practicing. All the best for your interview success. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.